What I'm suggesting is, what Cabral is suggesting is that we happen to be African, we happen to be stepchildren of the modern world because we entered the modern world as enslaved and colonized. Now we have to be able to make this modern world our own. How do we do that? That is the struggle. That is where Cabral comes in his idea of re-Africanization, reclaiming our humanness, our African humanness, right? How does one do that? And it's not some abstract, or it's not some Platonic idea that I'm talking about. Over and above imitating the West, capable of sustaining life without being dependent on something from the outside, you know, the capacity of the human being to invent, to create, to engage possibilities, right? And there aren't models to copy. And by the way, when Cabral says this, it's not a question of let's get rid of everything European. No, it's a question of appropriating as much from our indigenous cultures as from the culture of the colonized. It also requires a critique of the indigenous African traditions. For example, the idea of female genital mutilation, just because it's African does not mean that you keep it. You keep what makes for life, what makes for transformation. And so there's a way in which there's a lot in the traditional African context that needs to be purged, and much from the Western tradition that needs to be appropriated. But in appropriating it, then you make it your own, you transform it. It's not a question of somehow going back to before the time of the Portuguese. That's not something either possible or desirable. Right? What then? We have to have a certain humanism which allows us to communicate and relate, but we have to be grounded in something. There's a place where Cabral says, when Marx came up with Marxism, he did not live in a tribal society. The thing that I take from this is one has to look at concrete situations, because in advocating Marxism, I'm not advocating Marxism because Marx was my uncle. No, because it seems to me that it will open up a possibility whereby all of us would live in peace, right? And to do that means specifically to look at, you know, the context, the situation. And also, we shouldn't be more Marxist than Marx. Any theory has to be revised. And so it's not so much that there are principles that necessarily have to be applied. No, it's a question of seeing what is possible in a situation and engaging it. Marxism is a stance, you know, a stance aimed at transforming society in view of working people. this helping hand, it's like, it can also, hold you back, and it's through that the neo-colonial idea of help, indirect control through economic assistance comes into play, right? And it's a replacement of the colonial idea, because the colonial idea was a question of just occupying the natives and then doing as you please. But now here you have the facade of freedom, independent states, right, which are then under the control, economic manipulation of the Western world, Euro-America, as I call it. But what does it mean to get rid of the colonizer, right? Because he says we don't want exploitation by white people, but also not by Africans, right? How do we do that? And that's what makes him pertinent for today, because what we have today in Africa is a continent which basically is independent, but then it really is not independent, right? And so there's the way in which we've come to a point whereby the farce has been exposed. It's independent, but it's not independent. What then do we need? And so this is where Cabral comes in.
Nessa 63, povo começar. Nossa luta armada, a independência. Nossa luta armada, a independência. Amilcar Cabral, como é cedo, como é cedo, como é cedo, como é cedo, como é Na 73, 20 de janeiro, na Conakry, colonialista, manda matar. Colonialista, volta bem noite. Colonialista, vem pra matar. Amilcar Cabral, tu tá jurado, mas não tá liberta, não tá liberta, e nem calvete, não tá liberta, e nem calvete. Liberta.